The beauty of karma yoga and these other subjects is that we'll be able to grow spiritually. Welcome. At the beginning of karma yoga is a sorrow of separation. And this happens in just about everybody's life. There's a feeling of being separate from the very things we want and yearn for. If you'll check inside you, you'll probably find that you have deep yearnings. Certainly when you started yoga, there was a thirst for something better from life, something deeper, even if life was going pretty good. There tends to be a sense of an ideal way of life, but a feeling, I can't live it. It's impossible. So we blame things, like we say it's not the age for it. It's the age of Kali Yuga or something like that. But this is a normal thing, this sense of separation. It's a sad thing that it is. If you feel separate from the ideal or separate from your soul, separate from yourself, you tend to live with this unbearable yearning that's covered over. We just shovel other things and other concerns over it rather than let it just lie there crying out. We live with fear and anxiety. As a result of our separation, we have boredom. And if you find yourself bored in life, you're feeling a separateness from the divine, separateness from your own true self. There's a sense of futility, failure, a sense of the repetitious, that you just have to do things in your life over and over again. And it just doesn't seem to make much sense that every day we have to shower. We did that yesterday. We have to eat again today. We did that yesterday. So something in us is just crying out for a better thing in life than the repetitious. And there's also a feeling of very often having to labor hard. And it seems that this labor just doesn't seem to justify all that much hard work. Why work hard? Why sweat and strain? Old Man River, don't do nothing, don't say nothing, but he keeps rolling, whereas you and me, we sweat and strain, body all aching and racked with pain. Tote that barge, lift that bale, get a little drunk, and you'll land in jail. There is, in this sorrow of separation, a sense of being unloved. Even if we know we're loved, it's just not good enough love. We want to be better loved. They're loving us, they say they love us, but boy, do they really? In this world, Mother, no one can love me. No one can really love me, we think. Where is their pure, loving love? Where is their truly loving me? There my soul yearns to be. So we've described pretty well the human condition, which would be in the Old Testament all about Adam and Eve after they got kicked out, evicted from Eden, from this paradise consciousness, from this bliss, from this realization of everything being taken care of for them. And they blew it. And it may mean various things, but it's symbolic of us too, that regularly in life we feel separate from the garden. We feel we have to do things. We don't feel everything is being taken care of for us. We don't feel free of worry and care. We feel, gee, we got to care every day because nobody else does. This is this separation consciousness, and this is mainly why a person would take up karma yoga, to get over this human condition. The bhakti yogi says, well, I don't like this sentence of separateness, to be imprisoned far from joy and love and realization. So I believe there's something better. And I believe that there is a God or a divine aspect. And so he creates his ideal, called an Ishta, or a form of God, through which he expresses his love and realizes through that form the actual divine. His Ishta, the form of God he loves, reveals the divine Lord. The personal form of God reveals the divine form of God. And so he finds his true ideal. This takes a lot of faith and a lot of love. Well, at Jnani, he says this separateness is the problem. So he strives to look upon the world as like a dream. And Jnana Yoga looks at the world as some kind of unreal thing compared to this oneness which he senses and yearns for. So through various mantras and through discrimination, he tries to end his differentiation and live in oneness. The Raja Yogi uses his prana to sense oneness also, but also his kingliness in matter, his kingliness over anything he doesn't like in life. He tries to master the undesirable, so he's got control in his life. And so we've got these three venerable fields of yoga, and they're moving forward. However, the Karma Yogi says, I'm bound. I'm really stuck in this place of wilderness and sorrow, of hard work and confusion and failure and repetition and boredom. I can't do bhakti yoga, the yoga of emotion, because I just don't feel enough devotion or faith. They say there's a God. Yeah, that's good for you. You run off on Sunday mornings to that place, but there's a feeling of just not enough devotion to cut it. Maybe enough devotion for a day or two, but just goes away. So I can't do bhakti yoga. I can't do jnana yoga. I'm not intelligent enough. You say the world's one, I don't see it anywhere. I don't see it, I don't feel it intuitively. I feel quite separate and cut off in so many ways. So I can't play that game. And furthermore, something hurts me, I really feel it. I'm not going to say that arrow stuck through my knee is part of a dream. I'm saying, yow, at this very moment. Well, the Raja Yogi, his ways look appealing and interesting, but the Karma Yogi says, I just don't have that much willpower. I can't gather my being that intensely. I've tried a few times. I can't seem to triumph over my circumstances at all, it seems. But I do yearn for something better. I do have a sense of futility. I do suffer a lot. I am bored a lot. I feel lonely, feel inadequate. I feel that all activities on this planet are a touch of vanity and madness. I have deep needs that are not being fulfilled. I have despair. I feel unloved. I can't turn to bhakti, jnana, raja yoga. Oh, where can I turn? Oh, what do I do now? And in that sincere despair, he finds the guru who says, your very labors, your very drudgery can eliminate you. That's an advanced Freudian slip. That's supposed to arrive this afternoon. Be sure and come this afternoon to find out what I mean by elimination. But the actual word written here in left-handese is your labors can liberate you. Your labors, these very ghastly labors, can transform you. Just going to work at that 8 to 5 thing, or that 8 to 8 thing, just learning how to work right can be liberation for you. First off, dear one, everybody's got karmas. Whether they call themselves Bhakta or Raja Yogi or whatever, everybody's got karmas. Karmas mean cause and effect relationships with the universe, cause and effect relationships inside ourselves. You can't be alive without karmas. The way the blood enters one chamber of the heart and gets squished out another chamber, the way the breath comes and goes inside the lungs, the circulation, the nerve tone, everything is a bunch of cause and effect equilibriums. Every single thing in life. So you couldn't think, you couldn't breathe without karmas going on. And there are various kinds of karmas. There are the nitya karmas, first off. Nitya means everlasting karmas. As long as you got a body, you're going to have nitya karmas. You're going to have to wash the body and feed the body, exercise the body, sleep the body. And if you don't, you get sick. And that sickness is going to force you, because of the pain and torment, to look after yourself and do your nitya karmas. There's just no way you can avoid your everlasting karmas. Just no way out. And then there are the higher karmas. That's what you do every day in addition to eating and sleeping and washing, and tending your body or your kids' bodies. So the higher karmas would be those karmas which you do above and beyond necessity, unique expressions of cause and effect, special ways of being more expressive. If we were all just sitting at a table all day long, the world would not be very eventful now. Some might say that that's good. And it can be argued both ways. But the point is, the nitya karmas, everybody's got to do. And civilization very often shows that, the savage is the one who doesn't do his nitya karmas very well. He doesn't clean himself very well, so he dies younger or whatever. And nitya karmas, the way one practices just these essential things like washing and eating, things like this, really are indexes of the advancement of a society. Anyway, we can get into philosophy some other day. If you ignore your karmas, your nitya karmas, your higher karmas, you get them anyway, but they always seem more severe because they are. You get a drubbing from life. If you do not look after yourself, life gives you a drubbing, forcing you to look after yourself. If you don't look after yourself well in this life, you're going to look well after yourself in the next life, because you're going to have a weakened condition that you're going to have to pamper or look at or make compensation for down the line. So the world's full of people trying to ignore the karmas, and that's one of their suffering points. In fact, the entire universe is a play of many, many kinds of karmas. Like Ramakrishna was saying, there are karmas on the following levels. There are your gross karmas, your subtle karmas, your causal karmas, and then there's the great cause, God. In fact, these karmas should be analyzed a bit by us today, because it'd be nice to get a bit of a survey or perspective going here. Most people are bothered by their gross karmas. That's what's happening in their physical and sensual world. And I would like you to join with me in a little analysis here. Do you have any gross karmas, gross cause and effect relationships with life that are a problem to you? Do you have any problems in the world of activity and in your physical body? Those are called gross karmas. Do you have any problems in your romantic life? Those are gross karmas. We're going to have gross karmas. They're physical and sensual, whereas subtle karmas are going to be mental and emotional, if you want to know where that distinction comes in. Check out right now. Make a list, because as a result of this seminar, I hope we'll be all dealing so much better with every karma we got. So, do you have any pains, problems, difficulties, tendencies in your physical, sensual world that cause you or others pain? Write them down if you do, because we're going to strive to change those karmas today. I noticed some of you are finished. The rest of you keep working on it. But pay attention for 1 minute here. The subtle karmas I'd like you to list too. Your subtle karmas are your worries and your emotional pains or scars, things that bug you, your feeling nature or your thought nature. Those would be your subtle karmas. Subtle negative karmas. Your subtle positive karmas would be your triumphant thoughts and your wonderful emotional feelings. But if you have any problematical subtle karmas, note them too. Okay. Work some more on this list during quiet hours. Now, as far as causal karmas, they'd be mainly good. The only causal karma would be various ideals, something that you hold to be true and worth achieving. The only problem that you could have with an ideal is that it's not up to date. Well, you could say you have the ideal of being able to be a cannibal and eat people every day, and you could say, well, that's my ideal. I said, no, that's not what I mean. That would be a mental, emotional karma. Causal karma is in a very subtle realm that involves the use of your sahasrara and your third eye. It's an amazing thing that if you were able to exercise faith, you'd go inside and you'd find a new ideal. You'd find a faith fact. They're very similar, a causal ideal, faith fact. The thing to do is to look at your list now and explore if your ideal for your life can encompass that physical problem and that subtle problem. In other words, if your ideals are growing and if your sense of value of self, your value and appreciation of life, that'd be an excellent way to define it. A causal ideal, your value, your appreciation of life. Does your value and appreciation of life have a big enough, lofty enough, and powerful enough clarity that it can shine its light on the gross karmas and the subtle karmas? Have you got enough ideals such that you could put any gross or subtle karmas under or within those ideals? Think that over. So ideals are almost all true in the sense I'm using, causal ideals. The question is, are they big enough? Have you updated them? Does today's faith within you have enough ideals that they can easily cover that whole territory of your gross and subtle karmas? When you get finished analyzing your gross, subtle, and causal aspects, try to sense, until everybody's ready, try to sense that there's only one cause for now. That there is one great cause, God, out of whom all causes come. And this great cause manifests as ideals, then subtle, and then gross karmas. Work on that until everybody is blissfully meditating on the great cause. Gross karmas, subtle karmas, causal karmas, the great cause. By great cause, I mean think how in your life, it's hard to believe there seem to be so many causes, but can you sense that in your life there's only one cause, that in back of all there's only one cause? The Karma Yogi defines God quite often as the great cause. The great cause. Why don't we do a Karma Yoga practice? A thing that a Karma Yogi often does to get focused. Why don't you think of one vast, still ocean, and then one wave rising up throughout the whole ocean, like just this huge wave, one wave in this ocean that goes up and down, causing all the other waves. When you want to get focused into your karma better and sense more clearly who you're relating to and what's going on, start with this kind of focus. One vast, still ocean of consciousness, one wave making many. Play with that in your mind often now. Let's do about 3 minutes. If you want to start it over and over again, feel all this perfect stillness, and one wave makes others. Later on, you might think of it as a wave of activity, not necessarily a symbolic wave. Try right now, getting the Karma Yoga fix. Focus on flat ocean, one wave, making many. And now let these many waves go back into a still ocean. No waves whatever. Feel all the waves becoming calm. One vast still ocean again. And return to awareness here. Whenever the actions and reactions of life trouble you, do this practice. It will help you get your bearings. Okay, Karma Yoga is defined various ways. The most common, I think, is Karma Yoga is performing action without attachment to the reward. And then they go on to say this can be a positive or a negative reward, like it could be something you don't want to happen. You shouldn't be attached to what you fear either. So it becomes performing action without attachment to a reward or without attachment to fear of failure. And another definition that takes a little understanding, but it's very beautiful, Karma Yoga, is selfless action. Action without a selfish motive. That means performing your work and your thought without greed or anxiety. You're not greedy for what you're going to get for what you do, and you're not anxious about it. You have a confidence that you're doing is attuned to the universal process and will benefit you and others. So, as a result of these understandings and this practice of Karma Yoga, you become skillful in action. And a characteristic of a person who does Karma Yoga is that their action is skillful and free of mental emotional hang-ups. They're able to express without goofing it up because of what they want, or without goofing it up because they'd rather be somewhere else, or without goofing it up because they're afraid they're going to spill on the carpet or whatever. Skillful action, free of mental emotional hang-ups. So it's worth looking back on these because these are very important. When you're talking about Karma Yoga, is this what you're thinking? Performing action without attachment to reward. Because you're so confident in the play of cause and effect throughout the whole universe that whatever you cause is going to have its effect. So you do something good, it's going to come back to you, and you know it. You've observed it, you feel it, you sense it, you see it. Without attachment or fear of failure. If you're going to always be scared you're going to goof up the thing while you do it, you're going to be so nervous, you're going to cause a problem. Doing without greed or anxiety. Doing confidently that this action or this set of actions is going to bring about appropriate response from this ocean of consciousness. What you do, the universal conscious energy in various forms will respond to this, and you know it, or you're learning it. You have faith in your Karma Yoga that just performing a practice in this way, thoughtfully and well, it's going to come back to you in kind. Karma Yoga is based on an understanding of karma. Maybe I better make that clear. Karma is the law of cause and effect. It is that whatever cause you put into being has an equal response. You do good, good's going to come back. You do bad, bad's going to come back. You do various combinations of various combinations are going to come back. And that this is an inevitable law. It's just a fabric of the play of consciousness throughout the whole cosmos, that whatever causes you put into effect will have corresponding reactions, and that these go on ad infinitum. So if you say the Karma Yogi has no faith, he has faith in karma. He believes in the law of cause and effect. And certainly he believes in higher things later on, but he starts with the law of cause and effect. If he doesn't believe right off in the law of cause and effect, he's willing that it might be a working hypothesis, that it might be true. And so he begins, like a scientist, to try to do good things and notice if good things come back. This whole territory should be understood as some of the basic thoughts and tenets of Karma Yoga. it gets kind of interesting, because you mean to say that if you go to work, you shouldn't be interested in the salary. And when you take the job, you should consider whether that salary is going to enable you to do proper cause and effect relationships. But if you do your work thinking about the salary, if that's what you're preoccupied with, you're not doing karma yoga, and you'll goof up. That's the viewpoint of the karma yogi. If you concentrate on your work, concentrate on the activity, whatever it is, you are going to, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. You are definitely going to be rewarded in kind. It's very hard to see this, because now and then you get a job where you're putting a lot into it and you're not getting an appropriate reward back. This doesn't mean you have to believe that you're going to get an appropriate reward back from your boss. You are going to get an appropriate reward back from the cosmos. It could very well be your boss is very stingy, which is your karma. You have brought about that kind of stingy boss. If you are not going to get recompense through him and are truly focused on doing well and good, then the universe in some other way cannot restrain itself. It is going to reward you. It's very hard to see the law of cause and effect. The karma yogi is somebody who thinks it exists, has observed it a few times enough to have some faith, or is doing it as not really karma yogi, but a potential or probationary karma yogi, trying to see if it can be that. And the people who've practiced karma yoga even for 6 months say it's definitely the case. They've seen again and again and again in their lives that when they put out a cause selflessly, when they bring into being some kind of action, there is a corresponding reaction that blesses them and helps them. A corresponding reaction that verifies the beauty of practicing karma yoga. If you're putting your time in at your job just thinking about the clock and when you're going to get off work, then you're going to have corresponding bad work or poor work, and you're going to find in your life some demerits coming to you. You've goofed up in your job, you've just considered it hack work or whatever, and as a consequence, people start treating you that way, or various jobs done for you come back as that kind of reaction. Well, we'll get more into the specifics of karma yoga. I want to give you this beautiful development first, though, so we can have a deep understanding of how profound and wonderful karma yoga is. The main obstacles of karma yoga to doing this selfless action, which has the highest reward, the highest benefit, this selfless action which gives you what God wants to give you instead of what men with limited minds want to give you. The main obstacles to being open to a beautiful play of life are false concept of who is the doer of your karmas. And 2, expectation. And these are the main problems. If you're suffering in your work life or in more subtle levels of your life, false concept of the doer, and your expectations are out of whack. Your expectations are mainly mental and emotional, non-discriminating. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is we expect to get from this job various things that our mind tells us. But our mind, in most cases, is non-discriminating, so it's full of error to begin with. If our mind is Maya-based, confused and deluded, how is it going to determine what the reward should be? Yet we let our confused, contorted mind always make commentary on what we're supposed to get for doing this or that. And that's where we really goof up being karma yogis. If we have a deluded mind which is trying to tell us what our expectation should be, and if we allow that to happen, and if we allow that expectation to ride on whether we're going to be happy or sad with this or that activity, then we really are in a deluded state generally, and all the things that come back on us are unhappy things. Or tend to be unhappy, tend to be very chancy. We're living a risky life when we allow our deluded mind to give us expectations. Now, if you were in the Buddhi, you would not exactly have an expectation so much as a faith. which would manifest. Like, when we talk about expectation, we're talking about an emotional mental flaw, or we're talking that we rely on the mind or we rely on emotions to tell us what we want, and they're so stupid, they're so wrong. You got to get beyond the mind, into the deep heart, or into the buddhi, in order to be able to expect right, and then you don't expect. You get into the buddhi, you don't expect. It's the hankering of the emotions, the hankering of the mind. The buddhi tells you what is. The buddhi, that calm place beyond the mind, just makes it very clear what's what. So who knows how much we suffer from expectation. Yet, we should have hope, but hope gets us into that area of faith. So I hope you realize we're distinguishing between the buddhi, that place beyond general thought, past, present, future thought, that place of certainty, that intuitive, clear place. And we're distinguishing between that and the intellect or the play of the mind, because the mind is continually goofing us up in our performance of action and continually misinterpreting reactions. And there are people who become very adept at Maya or delusion, and in their adeptness, we think we got to follow them. In the fire, we feel we follow somebody who looks like they know what they're doing, and they don't know where the exit is either, and that's kind of the way people live, just following the wrong person to the supposed exit. Maya-based expectation is all too often wrong. Another reason of having the problem in doing karma yoga is that karmas are always in flux. Today you got a different setup than you had yesterday. You've lived another day, you've breathed a bit more, you've thought a bit more, so you've made subtle changes. And if we're going to keep our mind updated with these subtle changes in this karma flux, we're crazy. The mind can't. So based on what's happening to you and happening to you and happening to you, all these different things that we feed in through our senses into our mind, and by which we try to judge the world and what we should do and what we should reasonably expect, we live in constant confusion and deception. The world of karma is forever deceiving. It looks like it's going to be sensible and work out this way. Used to be worm farms were very profitable until they talked everybody into having a worm farm. So later on, people couldn't get as much for their worms as they did earlier. And so it goes. I mean, imagine being the person who had the corner on the market on Stanley steamers. There just turned out to be a different way for transportation. And today, who knows? There's so many ifs going on about future technology. Time and time we see in our daily life people who back the wrong horse, as it were, back the wrong project. And there's so many things in life where expectations are thwarted. Oh, there's no way you can succeed at this. No way. And yet somebody goes in there, finds a way, and succeeds, and becomes marvelously well off in one way or another. It's just an amazing thing. You must remember, as a karma yogi, or as a person who wishes to become more successful in terms of their relationship with life, all karmas are in flux. There's a constant rhythm. There's a constant bunch of waves of karma. And time again in scriptural stories and stories of the great ones, we see them dealing with karma in which their karma is miraculously changed again and again and again. And they're to inspire us. They did that to inspire us that our karmas are in flux. And we look at our fate and curse it, and we shouldn't, because who knows, it's one wave away, one action and counteraction away from being a whole different ballgame, a whole different situation. So if you look at your life and see certain problems there, realize they're actually in motion and strive to deal with them as a play of these waves of cause and effect. You'll feel you get through them so much faster.